When we need to talk about disagreements as Christians, and those obviously do come up, even though that we are Christians, we will have disagreements. How would you suggest that we approach that?
Big topic. Um, and we do and we will disagree as Christians. Don't think that fellowship in Christ and the relationships that we have as brothers and sisters in Christ means that we'll find a people with whom we'll never disagree.
Right.
That is idyllic. It sounds great. I think that's in heaven.
Yeah.
But down on earth, that doesn't happen. So just get that out of your mind. Loving people doesn't mean you agree with them all the time. And standing together for Christ doesn't mean we both agree on everything. And there are those moments when we'll just have disagreements over certain things. How should we do that? What's the tone of that? What's our attitude to be as we do that? I think that's an important question to pose. Um, so let me talk about that practical aspect of it. Love is always in season as a Christian. Paul addressed it in 1 Corinthians 13, like you can do a lot of good things in this life, but if you don't do it with love, it's a zero,
Right.
right? What he was saying was love is to be a part, in fact, central to everything we do in our Christian life.
Amen.
Because that's true. Love implies by necessity relationship. I guess you should love yourself in some sense, but the normal use of the word love is there's someone else involved. So this means we should, even when we're disagreeing with someone, we should be loving them. And they should know we're loving them. And I think that implies kindness, a tone of acceptance. Uh, I hope none of us feel like we have it all right and we're going to correct everybody and they're wrong. That's not a very loving approach to
Right.
life. Be humble. Admit your own mistakes and admit you have a lot to learn too. And I've got several degrees in Bible and theology, but I don't think I've got it all worked out in my head yet.
Right.
Okay. So I'm still in the process of fleshing stuff out and growing. Even what I know that's true, I don't know all there is to know about that truth.
Sure.
So I could grow in my understanding of that. So let's just get it out of our heads that we know it all and we're going to correct everybody. Be kind, be respectful, be humble, be loving. Um, and the person with whom we're having this disagreement is the word we're using here. They should know that.
Yeah.
So sometimes, by the way, we don't know how we're coming across. Um, Ask someone who knows you really well to check you out on that. Say, hey, watch me for a week and tell me if I'm coming across arrogant, boastful, a know-it-all. Because I don't think I am, but that doesn't mean others aren't seeing that in my life.
Okay.
And give them the freedom to say, John, you really are coming across too strong.
Okay.
My wife does that, by the way, for me. Uh, I have a face, according to her, that I have that I think I'm being serious. She says I look mad. So it's good to hear that. And just be aware that
Okay.
sometimes you're coming across, you think you're just being really serious, but maybe you're coming across mean.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives an impression to someone else that maybe you don't want to give.
Yeah.
And it's someone, you can ask someone to do that, someone that knows you really well. And I think that's very helpful. And just check yourself out. When was the last time I had a real serious conversation with somebody? How did that end? When was the time before that? Maybe I'm not approaching this right because they're all failing. Check yourself out. That's number one. Number two is make sure your disagreements are over things you should be disagreeing about.
Sure.
And we talked about this about the last time we addressed the issues of of topics and theological issues that we should disagree about. There's some things we shouldn't even have a disagreement about. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. Maybe it's where I am in my life, in my age. I'm only focused on the main things now. I'm not going to get involved in peripheral issues because I don't have much time left. But if we would live like we don't have much time left, maybe we would do a better job.
Right. That's how we all should live
Yeah,
day to day.
yeah. Just live like you're not far from
Yeah.
going home. And maybe we'd stay closer to the center, closer to the core. And we just get we get exercised about things sometimes that really don't matter a whole
Yeah.
lot. I think that's really important as well. And finally, I think prayer. Um, After we've had a discussion together, a disagreement, uh, have a time of prayer, have a season of prayer. I had a great uncle that when I was a teenager, when I got fired up for Jesus when I was about 16, I got saved when I was 12, but the Lord did a work in my heart when I was 16 years old. I just became a Jesus freak. It was great.
Yeah.
Okay, and he retired from his business in near Detroit and moved back to where I lived and took me under his wing. And boy, that was really providential. God really used him in my life. And he would used to say, we've talked to each other, now let's talk to the Lord. And then we'd have a season of prayer. And I learned a lot from him. Uh, it's not just about talking to each other. It's about together talking to the Lord. And by the way, it's important, I think, to pray together.
Yeah.
If you're having a disagreement with someone, you two need to pray to the Lord and have a time. Somehow, some way, prayer has a way of bringing us closer to the Lord, but closer to each other as well.
Right.
So I would highly recommend having a season of prayer with whom you're having a disagreement.
Thank you,
You're
Pastor.
welcome.